DANCIO, where you can take class anytime, anyplace.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to New American Youth Ballet Presents. I'm your host, Elizabeth Flores. Today, I'm so excited to have Caitlin Trainor with us from DANCIO, your online dance platform. And I am just so excited to hear more about your story. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and to tell us more about how we can all get started and get back in shape with the new year and take class from really anywhere.
Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth. I truly believe that dance is for everyone. And I get really excited about people just having the opportunity to do fantastic classes wherever they are in the world, whatever their physical situation is, from absolute beginner, from someone who hasn't danced in 20 years to very serious pre-professional students who want to brush up on their skills or have access to classes that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. So super excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
And now, from what I understand, see, everybody might assume this is because of the pandemic, but you've been doing this from 2015, is it?
You got it.
Now, what inspired this idea? How did you get started?
Well, I'm also an artist. I am a dancer and choreographer. And one day I went into the studio to create, and I knew, like, oh, I'm going to do better creative work if I just take a quick class first. But I didn't have time to run across town and so forth. And so I just said, oh, let me grab something off of YouTube, and fell into the black hole of the many very varied, hard to curate classes that range from, you know, really hard to see and hear and understand to very good quality. But just like siphoning through that was tricky. And I thought, gee, you know, there's yoga online, there's fitness online. And at the time I thought, why don't we have this already? This should exist. But when I told people about the idea, they said, is anyone ever going to take an on-demand dance class? And I was like, absolutely. There are times where you can't get to class.
Yes.
Different teachers that are, dance is very geographically specific. So sometimes there's something you want, but it's not in your city or not in your town.
Right. Or not at a time that you can do it.
Yeah. Time, money, the whole deal. Right.
Yes.
And so I said, no, this is going to be a thing. And I founded DANCIO with 4 classes, a kind of boutique collection at that time. And we started with ballet because we thought, well, there's a giant audience for ballet globally. So let's start with that. And we got gorgeous teachers, Julie Kent, Carlos Lopez,
Yes.
Lauren King, Craig Hall. I mean, it was like a runaway success. So we were really excited about that, and just kept building from there. And ironically, in late 2019, I said, my goal is to have at least 50 classes so that we can open subscription services, and it's not just a la carte rentals, and people can just kind of really dig into the content. So in late 2019, we had reached that goal. I said, let's do a very soft launch in early 2020 with our subscriptions.
And this was before you knew what was coming. Wow.
Yeah, still people were like, this is a weird project, you know?
Wow.
It was crazy. And so we did a super soft launch. It's like, oh, cool. We have 6 subscribers, you know?
Oh, wow.
I don't know how people heard about it. And
then March 15th came.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, you got it. And then, you know, we were all drinking from the fire hose, but it was an exciting time, and a time where we were able to provide access to literally thousands of people, including Ivy League colleges and universities, people from all continents, but we've been used all over Earth. And I'm always like, oh, who's in Sri Lanka? Like I'd like to know, but yeah, with the pandemic, we kind of ballooned out all over. And now we're really focusing on helping people to navigate the collection, because we have over 100 classes now.
Yes.
And just online, and they're like, whoa, this is a lot. And helping people find exactly what they need for their interests, because we have ballet, modern, contemporary, West African, improvisational forms. And so we're just figuring out how to help people find what hits the nail on the head for them.
Well, I see your website is very user-friendly. because I went on, and I know you have a lot to choose from, but you have a questionnaire. You can answer the questions and, what kind of class you want and what level you're looking for and what style. And it might even like for me, I'm usually stuck in my ballet box, but I'm excited to try some things also without embarrassing myself. where I'm at home and I can just, I can get the kinks out and learn and understand new forms of dance that I wouldn't maybe want to go into a class at my stage of the game and expose. You can just do it. And you also have some beautiful dancers that are taking class. I saw Elizabeth Beyer was one of the ballerinas in the class. I thought, wow. And for those of you who don't know, she's like a triple gold medalist of the world, one of the top beautiful, gorgeous dancers.
My name is Irina Dvorovenko. I'm former principal dancer from American Ballet Theatre. Shoulders in and down. Take a breath, chin up and not too high. Down. Toes out and demi. Out and push, more turn out and make it almost like a straight line, and then you curve the arms. The more arm going forward, the more we lose in the placement of the body, right? And body getting very saggy, so we need to elevate ourselves all the time. Upper body is our presentation. That's what we need to always look beautiful. Doesn't matter how hard we're working. 1, 2, step. Glissade, un côté, tombe. Soutenu up, down, and arms sooner up. Step to the back, and Julie Kent and Wendy Whelan, just all these different styles to choose from. And that's the other thing that's exciting.
Oh, thank you. We've been very fortunate, and truly, I think our dance world, even through various disciplines, is a very small world. And if people know what you're doing is good quality, if they know it's a labor of love, if they know it's going to have excellence, they'll connect to it and participate. And I think we've just been super, super lucky to have all of these world-class, the highest caliber dancers and teachers participate in DANCIO. I mean, this is their reputation. This is their public image. And it's a really important thing for them to consider each and every project with care.
I'll tell you what the challenge I've found for years of ballet instructional videos that are frequently out there is they lack an energy. They're very one-dimensional. They're very kind of flat and boring. But when I was looking around at your classes, they have a life and an energy about them. And often you have a live accompaniment and you get a sense of the teacher's personality. And I saw some of the behind the scenes where you were, I think it was Wendy Whelan, where you were telling her, just be yourself. And it was really nice because I can't speak as much of an authority on other forms of dance. Well, I know musical theater people are a little more, just a little more friendly, but ballet people tend to, put up this wall. And it's nice because the class is just, it kind of captures who they are.
This is literally for if people are gonna maybe take class to this.
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
teaching
People
class.
all over the world in 20 countries are already using these, and people write to me and say, "This has saved my life." They project the class or use it from their mobile, so they're looking and taking class with you is a user audience.
I hope it's irreverent. I saw your clap and I thought it was actually one of the best things because you're this iconic ballerina and then you say these things like, hey, don't squat like you're on the potty. Well, you actually said, well, we won't talk about it. You were great and the irreverence was fabulous. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you're ready for your next class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah. Have a good one, guys. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Yeah. Fun. Cool.
And actually, it's great because then we get to see the way when you teach
Yeah,
them what she's thinking about more. We get a little bit of the secret sauce.
Getting waxed.
I think it's
No, it's okay. I don't mind it. You take that sideburn.
Okay, here you go.
I was like, you guys were good. You guys did great. Yeah, really, really good. Yeah, thank you.
And I also saw you have audio recordings. Can you tell me more about that? Or you just hear what? Is it the instructor's voice guiding you through the class without the video?
Well, first, I'd like to respond to what you said about the kind of energy of the videos and Wendy in particular. I mean, the videos, when I hire someone to teach a class for DANCIO, my thing is that I trust that person 100%, and I want them to decide how that class is going to go. So outside of hiring someone, and I just choose very, very carefully, then once those cameras are rolling, I'm like, you're on, do what you want. You decide. Of course, we have some tips and some guidance to succeed, but I want them to have their material that they feel passionately about. So when those cameras roll, we're surprised and excited as anyone else about what's going to happen in that room.
Nice.
I think that comes across.
Yeah.
Wendy, and I think there was a New York Times article written about her. She is an extraordinary person in that she has transformed the way that the ballet culture engages publicly. I mean, she is the friendliest, least egotistical, no diva, down home, warm, professional person. You know, I mean, obviously world-class artist, obviously like of legendary ballerina, right? But she's extraordinary. And I mean, I took class with her a lot, and she has a great sense of humor. So she's a really neat person. So we're really grateful that we've had her class, and the behind the scenes is really great with her too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost track of
The audio recordings. What gave you that idea to include that?
Okay. So, I mean, we're all like over screened, right? Like the blue light and the frontal sitting and even though we're dancing when we're taking DANCIO class, and it's great when you're streaming it on your giant TV, if you have that opportunity. There's something really nice about being freed from this kind of flat dimension, the Instagram dance, the screen dance of any variety. And so the idea of audio, and it's not for every type of learner, right? Like some people are strong auditory learners and other people find it difficult. But the idea is that you can have a more somatic experience and a more self-guided experience, that you might discover different aspects of your movement and have a more ownership over the material and more discovery based on auditory learning. We've limited our audio collection kind of to two categories. Ballet, because it's so codified that if I say the word tendu front, there's a common understanding of what that word means and what that's going to look like in that lexicon of movement. We also have done somatic and improvisational forms, because in improv, you can do anything. And in somatic forms, we want that to be guided through, lift your pelvis kind of language that's also easily comprehensible. So the idea is to create a more experiential class for people who want to try audio learning.
That's a great idea. Because I remember years ago being in David Howard's class, and sometimes you just needed to hear the voice. You just needed to get that vibe from his class. You don't even need to see where he is, but you just hear his musicality guiding you through the combination, and that's enough. And you have that on there too. And it looks like for people who maybe aren't ready for a full subscription, you can rent a class for what, $10? It's very reasonable. And you were comparing it to takeout and to all these things that we spend money on that don't really give us anything.
Yeah, so it's $10 for a 48-hour rental, with the idea that a dancer could take the class twice within that rental period. And a month of DANCIO is $30. So we want people to pack in as much class as they can for each rental. And it's priced for dancers. And, that was when I set out to build this, I was like, this needs to be affordable for dancers, about the cost of a New York City class per month. And it's maybe a touch more or less depending on where you're taking class and what kind of class you're taking. But that's our goal, is to sustain that pricing. And just
That's for a month. What your cost for a month is like equivalent to one New York City class.
you got it.
Right? So that, if people heard that, I'm going to say it again. One class in New York City, typical price is the cost of what? Unlimited classes.
You got
if you
it.
join as a member. So, I mean, that is really, really a powerful thing. And it kind of takes away, what's our typical excuse is I don't have time or I can't afford it. So you've kind of ripped those away. So we don't really have anything to say out here, except we got to get into class and get back in shape for the new year. And I wanted to also ask you, we're gonna do a kind of a joint edit together with Carlos Lopez, one of your instructors. Can you tell me how you both met and how you got him into DANCIO?
Sure. Well, I have a dear friend who was a big supporter of American Ballet Theatre, Carlos's home company for many years. And so she introduced us, and through that network of people at American Ballet Theatre, he got to know who I was and what the project was. And he said, sure. And so the day of the filming, of course, I was like so nervous, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. And the makeup people and the lights and the film. And he came in, like he said, oh, I'm going to be coming off an airplane. And he came in like super cash and super blasé, like, oh yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of tired. And I was like, of course I should have known, right? Like, let me tell you, that camera came on and Carlos Lopez pulled out a gorgeously exquisite, musical, performative, joyful, like perfect class. I mean,
Nice.
it was comical, like the contrast, like when that camera came on, I said, this person is not only a master teacher, but a performer, a real performer. And so his class, you'll have to check it out, but he's phenomenal.
Well, I must ask before I move this along, is DANCIO.
And Kaylin contacted me and he asked me to do this video for them. It's actually also all very new. There was not that many people by that time that
And
they
that
have
was
done
what,
the
2000, what would you say? Around what year was that?
2015 or 16. She just introduced herself and she told me about the platform. I'm trying to do this. And I knew I was going to Puerto Rico to do this Phantom of the Opera, full production of Phantom of the Opera. So I was like, the problem is like I'm like flying out and I'm arriving to New York and I have to go and do the class right after the plane, and after all these hours of performances. It was all very emotional because Phantom of the Opera over there is like a classic, and it was created in Fernando Bujones, and I was doing it, and it was a little bit of like my last performances. Who knew that I was gonna be doing? So anyway, I did the shows. I came and I met her, and I mean, she's lovely. She has such an energy, and she's so open and so like graceful, and I mean, it was. I remember just a lot of positive energy.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, just the typical teacher dancer that you're still worrying about everything. But I have Gary Pogosian, and I have Scout Forsyth, which is still current members of the American Ballet Theatre, and I work with them for the studio company. So I just remember like a really fun time. They made it very easy for me, and that they really provide everything easy for me to like really teach the class, and
Yeah.
everybody was so welcoming, and it was a beautiful experience.
Well, it looks like it's a lovely platform with a lot of options, and it's great to be able to hop on there anytime you need a good class and take advantage. So I'm grateful that Kelly Ryan put us all in touch with each other, and I'll try to string this together. Before we wrap, do you mind if I have Camila come on and ask you some rapid fire questions?
Adagio or Allegro?
Allegro.
Cats or dogs?
Cats and dogs. Both.
Bar or center?
Center.
Classical or neoclassical?
Let's say classical now.
Turns or jumps?
Jumps.
Favorite food from Spain?
Paella.
Favorite hobby outside of the studio?
Movies.
Best advice of how to land a correct double tour?
Fifth and plie.
If you were going to a desert island and could take 3 things, what would they be?
I'll take my phone. I'll take my headphones, and I'll take sunscreen.
Do you have any advice for young dancers presenting themselves in an online platform? You've seen so many. What stands out to you?
You know, clean fifths, clean tendius, clean lines, like just correct position of the arms, nothing too like exaggerated, because you know there's always going to be the times that they become professionals and everything gets a little more smooth and more open, but just like clean basic technique that it was really stands out. Like, of course, personality comes later, and the expression is beautiful, but especially for competitions, we really look for that clean, traditional, basic ballet technique.
Your platform and his instruction, it kind of bailed a lot of dancers out right when this thing hit. For us as dancers, it's like brushing your teeth. You've got to have your class. It just sets you up, whether you're in performance season or not. It's just kind of like sets you up for your day, for your life. And it's what you need. So when everybody was forced to stay home in their apartments without that connection, you lose a lot. And so it's great you were already out there doing this and knowing how it works, while the rest of us were just trying to figure out how to turn our camera on and unmute ourselves and all of that came with it. I want to ask you, what was your first online class experience? And do you remember it? Was it searching through different YouTube videos? And was that really like that turning moment for you when you were just trying to find a solution online?
It really was that day in late 2014 when I tried a class online, and I was like crashing into the furniture because it hadn't been built for a smaller space.
Right.
I couldn't really see or understand the class. And I didn't feel embodied in the class. Like I felt like a little stressed out by the virtual medium, because I think the legibility of like learning the dance from the video, and it just was stressful. And I didn't enjoy the feeling. And so I don't remember who that class was with, which is good. But I remember thinking, but this can be done so that the cameras are at the right angles and the sound and the instruction is super clear. Yes. And so that was something I thought about a lot before launching. It's like, okay, what point of view do we learn from as dancers? And how do dancers need to see class? Like, so sometimes, and we've actually gotten better at this over the years. Like if you see our first classes, our angles are sufficient, but they've gotten a lot stronger where we have different perspectives simultaneously in the same camera. So for example, we might have one dancer facing towards the back of the room and one dancer facing towards the front of the room.
Yep.
So that people can see a front and back perspective simultaneously. So we have different tricks, and we zoom in on, well, in this case, the feet are important for this particular movement, but in another moment, it might be something more experiential where we just want to kind of get like a closer up on the feeling that the dancer is having. And so we try to just edit, number one, for clarity so that people can read and understand. And number two, so that the feeling of the work, whatever the teacher is conveying, is clearly understood by the user.
And the classes are designed, the instructors are told to design the class so you can do it in a small space? if you don't have much room or you have a chair, I see one of your phrases is, grab a chair. Is it okay if people don't have, like, I have a mini studio set up, but if I were in my kitchen, could I still get a good class in?
Your studio is A+ mini studio, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Well, one of the changes we made during the pandemic was to scale down a lot of our classes. So we have search tools on the quiz. If you go to dancio.com, dancio.com, you can use the quiz and you can filter for large space, medium space, small space classes. So that was one of the things that we learned during the pandemic is like, oh, no one's in a studio at that time. We got to really pivot.
And this is just on a personal note. You just have a lot of guts. You just go and you go after what you see to complete your vision. You go and do it.
I always had a good tolerance for no. I mean, I think going into dance, you are going to get a lot of no's. That's the reality. And I was talking to a fellow entrepreneur recently, and he said, well, everyone who starts something has illusions of grandeur. And I had to laugh at that, like, okay. But, my thing is, number one, you ask, and if someone says no, you can accept that or ask again later.
Right.
It's okay. And why not go after what you want? And it takes some guts, and I always have to kind of close my eyes and click send.
Yes.
But yeah, you just got to go for it sometimes. And just such a pleasure to be here. And thank you so much for taking the time and for your interest in DANCIO.
Well, I love it. And we'll put this together with Carlos Lopez, and we will see you at New American Youth Ballet Presents. And I hope you're all out there taking class on DANCIO. If you enjoyed today's show and have an idea for an episode, contact Elizabeth Flores. I'd love to hear from you.